G'day guys, it's Crypto Trader Vader here, and doing another Poloniex trading journal. I need some walking around in the background, just have some dogs staying with me at the moment. So let's take a flip and look at these charts. So we had a big test point in Bitcoin get crushed through. Let's have a quick look at that. And we were sitting with Bitcoin first of all. So as you can see, the market's kind of taken a tumble, obviously since the 2017 end of 2017 highs, and then up until then we've kind of had this point here, which has been our baseline level of support, which now has fallen through, as you can see here. You know, we saw this kind of trending upward direction over the last few months, kind of a slow, steady trending up. However, it was also a descending triangle formation, like that, and then obviously it broke through at this point, and now the market's decided that the prices are going to come down a little bit further. So I went back and I had a quick look at, you know, what did it look like back in the last run-up. So kind of if you can take a snapshot of where we were today. If we look at the last kind of huge bull market here, and we'll look at the first of all the timing. So it's a little bit funny because it ended around the same time in December last year, and then started to make its way down, and come towards November area, which is where we are now, we had a big drop through. So back in 2014, 2015, that drop happened a little bit later in the timeline, but it looks very similar. You know, we've had a little bit of support up until this point, and then it's kind of fallen through the floor. But you can see that was the low point here. So if patterns do repeat, then potentially we're at a similar point now, where we're at this point where the price has kind of fallen through, and the prices should start to recover. Of course, they recovered fairly slowly, and it took essentially a year from 2015, which is here, all the way through to 2016 for those prices to start coming back up, where confidence was returning to the market. So because we've kind of had this drop through a little bit sooner, we're in November now, this drop was in probably a couple of months delayed, we might see this start to turn around a little bit quicker, and it might take 6 months to 9 months to kind of start that slow turnaround upwards. Very curious to see what happens, of course, and I think a lot of people are, myself included, are anticipating that altcoins will have another run up during this off phase of Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance is quite high right now, but we potentially could see the altcoins kind of turn around. Anyway, so let's take a look at the markets and see all those things that are happening. Along the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all the coins that I'm going to be getting through, and I'll take a note about each one of those, and I'll make it green as I go along, so that if you want to scrub through the video to your favorite coin, you can do that as well. So let's start off with Ardor. I'm try and delete some of these old drawings as I go along, and let's move it to the 4-hour bars here. Delete some of these old drawings. Look at this. So with Ardor, we're right down to this low point again. I'm curious to see what I said last week on this. Bullish until around 1900 sats. So that was on the 3rd of November. Right around here. So it certainly did look like there was a bit of a turnaround occurring, and kind of fell way back down. Definitely wrong on that one. And we're right down to these rock bottom lows again for Ardor. Curious to see what happens with that one, whether it'll hold the support around this 1425 sats mark, or whether it will continue lower. Curious times. Just delete some of these old drawings here. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. I'm going to watch it and see what happens. Let's move on to Bitcoin Cash now. So by the looks of these previous drawings last week, around the 3rd of November, I was wanting to watch it because it did look like the price was kind of in this downward wedge, and it did break out above it, start to go up. Probably something to do with the pending fork that's occurring. I anticipated that it would drop through. I'm still kind of curious about this coin and seeing whether it'll drop beneath these 0.065 levels. That's kind of my general vibe from those charts. Generally bearish, less than 0.06365 really. Black coin's now delisted. I'm going to get rid of that and redo this spreadsheet shortly. Let's move on to BitShares. Generally bearish until next fortnightly. Apparently, I spelled that fortnightly. Well, that was definitely right. So back here, November start. So I think the price was starting to. Yeah, it looked like it was losing steam for sure. It did break through, kind of held at this previous level of support, and now has crashed back down with, along with Bitcoin. So that's hitting new lows, which is interesting. Right around this level right now, it's kind of just holding this way back support. If we take this line and we drop it down here to this previous level where it held, we're really struggling to hold that now. So that's not looking like a good sign for BitShares. So that one's another generally bearish until next fortnight. Let's move on to Clamcoin. And suss this one out again, just deleting some of these old drawings that I have in place from previous analysis. So Clamcoin has also been kind of trending downwards. Big trends. It's really at the top end of this downward trend line now, and let's make that a nice yellow color here. Definitely on this nice downward trend line. We can see the prices have hit it 1, 2, didn't even make it there 3, 4 times now, and likely drop further. It's held a few times at this 22k sats mark. So really, if we see a dip beneath that, you can see here, it's hit it once, twice, 3 times, and dead on. So there's either some whale that's sitting there, snapping up orders right around that 22,000 sats mark, which would be interesting because it might allow Clam to have some strength and to maintain above those levels, but we don't really know. I mean, it's very much historically very, very low. You know, it's a coin that's primarily used on Just Dice, a gambling platform, and it's historically very, very low. What do I say about that? I mean, it seems to me like this trend line has been upheld several times, so it's going to kind of probably continue to come down here, maybe touch this level again, form this wedge. Now, whether it comes up through that and heads upwards, or whether it kind of crashes down here, that will spell bad news for Clam. Curious to watch that though, not really sure on a prediction on that one. Let's have a look at Civic now. Okay. Okay, well, let's get rid of that. So you can see here that I've previously drawn on this one. I anticipated that it would come up a little bit higher before coming down. Seems that that's been squeezed in, but really it's following the same line. It's just the timing's off. So it's coming up here, it's come back down to kind of form this 3 and may come back up. So this might be the formation of a larger 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here. A 1, 2, let's move that 2 back to this peak, and let's move this 3 kind of around here. Now of course this price here hasn't turned around yet, so we don't know if this is the 3. It needs to kind of show some strength here and start heading back up towards this level, around this 2 mark. And again, I'll just delete some of these other redundant lines. It has broken kind of this support, but that's not really a good support line because that was broken way up there. So let's get rid of that one. So let's just wait and see what happens. This could be on the way back up, possibly bullish until next fortnight. Let's put that in there. I can't type today. Okay, Dash Coin now. What will happen? That's what I was trying to predict. Big 1, 2, 3 possible formation here. Nice bowl shape, but it has started to come back down. Now back here in last fortnight, where I was predicting that it could, well, I mean, I wasn't predicting anything really. I was just saying that it could possibly go in either one of 2 directions, either kind of form this bowl back up, or we'll start to crash back down. And it looks like the latter is happening, that it's coming back down. So really the thing to watch for here is this 3 line. If it starts to break beneath this 3, we might be looking at a lower move for Dashcoin, 0.023. I'll pop that down here. Less than 0.023 for Dash equals a bear move. Decreed. Big popcorn move there. November 4th. Here's where I made the predictions. Hold about 660k sats to go higher. So needs to hold above this level to kind of stay higher. And it did not. So it looked like it kind of spiked up there for a minute. But then has come back down. And now it's of course broken this longer term upward trend line. So looks like it's going to be a bit more of a bearish move for Decreed there. I'll pop here generally bearish until next fortnight and move on to Doge. Yeah, I love Dogecoin. So reliable with the pumps. I promised myself last fortnight that if I ever see Dogecoin come back down to these sub 40 sats levels, I'm just going to do just a weekly or a fortnightly buy, just buy a small amount and dollar cost average that bad boy all the way down until it doubles up again. Because it seems to do that fairly reliably, and I've mentioned it many times. If we look at the daily charts for Doge, pump, 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 constant pumps. And if you're placing your sell orders quite high, then you're going to be reaping the rewards. Even, you know, these smaller pumps up to 66 sats are good. If under 40 sats, around that kind of level, I'm going to start just buying that up. Move on to Ethereum now. What's happening with ETH? Again, just remove some of these redundant lines. Okay. Now, last week I kind of drew this 1, 2, 3 bottom, this mini 1, 2, 3 bottom forming. We do have this kind of slow trend line upwards. It's touched a couple of times, but it has kind of broken beneath that now. So above 0.036 for a bull run, and we're certainly not getting that yet. So really, what I'm seeing now is a wedge forming. And now that we've broken out of that wedge, we might be seeing some lower levels for Ethereum. So that looks like a generally bearish until next week. Not looking as exciting as I thought the charts would today. I really am spending no time doing this throughout the fortnight. I'm only looking at the charts really during these sessions, so I'm not really aware of what they're doing. I mean, I look every so often at the actual prices, but not looking at the charts historically, except for these sessions. So all of this stuff's a bit more gloomy than I anticipated it would be. Oh, that's Expanse. Looks like that was stopped or delisted or something happened there. Let's move on to Factum. Alrighty. We had this old 1, 2, 3 drawings. Let's get rid of those. And we had this. Is interesting. So last fortnight was around the 3rd of November, I think it was, right here, and it has Factum has really pumped since then. So I put it on a watch previously. I think I'll keep it on a watch. I wonder if I can just hide this. Expanse. Just do that. Let's hide all these delisted ones. Black as well. Yes, I'll have to keep watching that one, but it's very intriguing to me that this is broken out. I don't know what's going on, whether there's some news that's causing that to lift up, but something's happening. Game credits now. Again, just get rid of some of these old redundant drawings and have a look at the more recent charts. We're still in the 1 day, so let's move that to the 4 hour. Whoa, that's a depressing sight. Look at that. Game credits absolutely fucking crashed downwards there. And it's no surprise really, this downward facing wedge, as it's broken beneath it, it's kind of hesitated for a second. The market's deciding, okay, is this actually it? And now it's come back and has dropped down. I'm guessing that it's somewhere near the historical levels because that's quite low. So game credits, I did say last week if it went beneath 2400 sats, there was a strong bear move, and that certainly did happen. So I'm going to retain the generally bearish status on that one and move on to GNT. Just in the process of clearing these old ones out. What did I say last week on this? Hold price above 2800 sats and we got a bull move. Let's see if that happened or not. Certainly did not. So we have around the 3rd of December where I was making those predictions. It was definitely in a run up. I went back down to touch this trend line and decided that it's going to crash straight through. Now this previous support level here is where it's hovering at now. So we could kind of see this thing turn around and head back upwards. We've hit this support line once, twice, 3, 4 now. Now failing that, if it kind of starts to dip beneath the around 2180, less than 2180, let's say, 80 sats, and we'll probably drop to at least the 1990 sats mark, where that previous support level was. Let's move on to LBC. By the way, if there's any coins that you want me to check out that aren't here, just pop a comment underneath the video and I'll get to it next time. We'll take a closer look at it. Okay, so have a strong downward wedge here with LBC. We've got the same thing that's happening in a lot of different coins here. It's kind of dancing between these two. It's come back up. So what we'll see is probably a continuation of that and then at some point it's going to either break downwards or it's going to break upwards. Either. But that's not for at least another month. So let's go generally bearish on that one as well, because that'll probably be getting closer to making a move next time I do this at the start of December. Be on the 1st of December actually. Okay. Lisk, up to Lisk. Yeah, this one has crashed through this long-term support line here, so that's not looking good for Lisk. Oh, when the markets were sweet back here in April, back here in December, when the markets were looking very nice. Now, we had, back here, of course, we had a Bitcoin that was hugely high. Everyone was pushing money into Bitcoin, and then as Bitcoin started to falter, we saw this rush into altcoins and have this huge pump in altcoins. Went absolutely mental. Of course, now what we're having is these altcoins following the trend of Bitcoin a little bit more, and so that kind of tells me that instead of people comparing altcoins to Bitcoin and seeing them as kind of competing investments, people are more seeing the cryptocurrency space as an investment in itself. Now, that doesn't mean that altcoins aren't going to rise and fall. Of course, there'll be a lot of altcoins, I think, that'll rise up. But if the market is focused more on cryptocurrency as a whole, it makes me think, well, you want to kind of long-term invest for the bigger coins, your Ethereums, your Bitcoins, and cost average them over the course of several purchases, so that you can get a low average price. Because it's the whole market. As the whole market turns around, we might get some more comparisons between alts and Bitcoin and other coins, and you'll see some rise and fall again like we saw previously. But that one's another one that's generally bearish because it has broken down beneath that support line. So let's have a look at LTC now. I think I bought some of this last week based on the fact that we were at rock bottom prices. Oops. And we're still at rock bottom prices here. So historically, and what I was judging this on last week as well, is historically you can see that the prices tend to come back up to this 0.017 mark and tend to come back down to kind of this 0.006 mark here. So we're very close to that. So now is the time to be doing that dollar cost averaging, buying up a little bit every week, every month of Litecoin, and then setting your sell orders back up at these kind of levels, so that if there is a very quick pump, you're automatically having your coin sell, and you're taking the profits, and they're good profits at the moment as well. That's a clear double up opportunity. 0.075 all the way to 0.015, 0.016. That's a double up opportunity. So that's really good. I don't anticipate that that's going to happen very quickly, but I mean it's done that in the past, certainly. So we've had these pumps, these kind of depressed prices down here, and then it's very quickly come back up over the course of a month. Here it was even quicker. We went in December 4th last year, and we went all the way up to mid-December, 2 weeks, and it was huge. Big pump. So it might happen over the course of a couple of weeks. It might happen like that. It might happen more slowly. It might, come down a lot further and take some time to come back up. But I think the smart thing to do, the asymmetrical risk reward there, is to buy up Litecoin at these low prices, because it's not going anywhere. It's like Bitcoin. I'll watch that one. I won't make a prediction on that. And let's move on to MadeSafe coin now. MadeSafe's one of those coins that I have a very contrarian relationship with. Poor predictions on this one. So we had what is this? Back here, we're still in the daily charts on a 4 hour. Okay, That's better. So we kind of had a prediction here around this mark here that if we can go greater than 2700 sats, we're looking for a strong bear move. Now, oh sorry, that's less than, which we definitely did not get. Certainly did not get. We got a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, and we got now the price coming up above and resting on this 2 formation. So there's your 1, there's your 2, and there's your 3. Very casual. And now we've got this price coming up above this 2 mark. I'll delete some of these other lines and make it a little bit clearer here what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3 bottom, come back up, resting above that price now. Now is definitely a time to buy some MaidSafe coin. Generally bullish until next fortnight. And I'll put a star there because I'm going to go ahead and buy a little bit of Maid, I reckon. Maybe sell one of these other coins that didn't do so well and reinvest into MaidSafe. Navcoin, one of the coins that did not do so well. Above 6,300 sats equals a bull run. Did not get above that. I probably bought prematurely on that one. And that one, I'll take my hat out of the ring and put a watch on that and see what happens. Let's move on to OMG. Hey, what's up to me? Sorry, mate, just saw your chat. What's going on, dude? Happy Saturday. Tuning into some Crypto Trader Vader on this beautiful Saturday morning and in Richmond, Vic. And OMG above 53k sats equals a bull run. Hasn't got there yet. This previous ascending triangle did break this shock to the Bitcoin ecosystem, with Bitcoin kind of falling through that long-term support level and reaching these new lows for the first time in a year. First time in a year. I mean, it's so like easy to see where with what's happened in the last year, but you got to zoom out and view the bigger picture with Bitcoin. Understanding the technology and the opportunity financially with Bitcoin is immensely asymmetrical and presents a huge opportunity. So what do we do with this one here? It's kind of hit this support level down here twice, but then if we zoom out and we look at the longer term decline, the decline of like that, we'll kind of see that possibly continue downwards or upwards. Yeah, now watch that. That's going to take a little while to mature, I think, so we'll need to just wait and see. So what's happening with rep here? Let's not draw on the screen. Let's have a look at rep. Last week we said above 230k sats equals a bull run. We did not end up above 230k sats. In fact, we had a strong decline, and that was a fail on my part there. I did call that, and I think I went ahead and bought some. I'll have to double check my Poloniex. Just investing very small amounts back into this altcoin market after the huge run down. And that one, let's put another watch. I've got to take my hat out of the ring of these coins that I've failed at last week, unless I can see a new formation forming, and I can't really with these lines. So previous support there could get down there. If we lift the support line here to the 1, 2, 3 touches now on this line, and it's almost a bit of a channel, isn't it? So we can kind of see almost a rectangle forming here, where it's touched the top a couple times, it's touched the bottom a couple of times. Now with this sort of trade, what you can look out for is what we call the bend trade. So if the price comes back outside of this triangle, outside of this rectangle rather, you'll usually come back up and almost get close to touching that rectangle and then start to turn around again. So this here is the bend, and at this point is where you want to be making your sell orders. And making your sell orders at this point. So it needs to come out of the rectangle, come back up to touch it, and then start to bend down. And that's when you know it's a sell. Now the opposite of that is also true. If the prices come back up here, come out of the box, let's just for the sake of illustration, extend that a little bit. If the prices do come back up and again come out, it'll come back to touch that and start to head back up. And again, that's the point that we want to be making our trade, to either buy, well, buy at this point, or of course sell if it's this point. So that bend trade is an opportunity that's kind of arising with Sia coin. Watch for the bend trade. Let's call it. Okie dokie. Steam. Excuse me. Let's draw some of these. Let's get rid of some of these older drawings here. And we see Steam is, you know, touching this long-term previous support line. Even going beneath it. So that's going to get a generally bearish until next fortnight for me. This doesn't look very strong at the moment. Moving on to Storage Coin. Oh, I just love drawing on Storage Coin. Let's delete some of these older ones here and head to this more recent predictions. 1, 2, 3, bottom forming, did come back up, touch that line and did not take off. It's now failed to come back through. So what we can do is we'll take this and reapply for a 1, 2, 3 bottom permit. And we'll see where this kind of lands. And if the price starts to dip back down to these sort of levels where it's at now, and then, you know, start to turn around, we can call that the new 2, the new 3, and go from there. That's another watch on that. Alrighty, STR, Stellar. Wow. I do recall looking at Stellar and thinking, how is this staying so powerful in the tumultuous market that we're in at the moment? Powerful Stellar. And really up at this level. That is a good buy, I think. Actually, I would not buy that. Just take a closer look at this. So it's kind of hit this resistance point a couple of times, around this 4,000 sats mark, and has come back down to, you know, around 3,000 sats. Now, what happened last time that it reached 4,000 sats and came back down? We see a peak right here, and then we see a second peak, what, around a week later, that's slightly lower. So the end of these two lines marks these peaks. So let's take a look at the more recent run-up. We've got a peak right here. Oh, not that one. Peak right here, and then about a week, maybe less than a week later, we've got another peak right there. So does that signify that we're on a, you know, repeating this pattern and going to probably come back down to 3,000 sats on Stellar? Maybe. Till 3,000 sats. Till 3,000 sats. So maybe maybe we're going to have a repeat there. Now the exception to that, of course, is if we start to break new ground on this. So the previous levels of resistance around this 4,500 mark, if we can break above that, let's put a greater than sign. 4,500 sats. Bull run. That might be a good opportunity. So it's really a close, watch that one closely to see kind of what the prices will be doing over the next few days. Alrighty, strat, where you at? You know, another opportunity for a bend trade here, and looks like we're probably getting the other side of this bend trade. The price has come back down. It might come back up and then head back down. So let's delete this one and watch that bend trade. Watch for the bend, and move on to VTC. I said less than 9,700 sats equals a bear move, and it certainly happened. That was dead on that one. So we had this previous level of resistance break around the 9,700, and it just had a big bear move. So that one is going to be a wash. I'll see what happens with it, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere good in the very near future. XCP counterparty. Yeah, this one does look a little bit more positive. If this huge Bitcoin hit, which we've had over the last few days, is kind of only causing it to come back to these very recent lows, and almost repeating this 1, 2, 3 mark. We've got this 3 formation here. We need to see really the prices come back up above 5,900 sats, and if we can get that happening, we're gonna see another bull move on that. So really, we need above 59k sats equals a bull move. Yeah, and that'll be a nice breakout above that. So I'll keep a watch on that one too, because I might buy a little bit. Whoops, not that one. This one. XMR. Let's have a look at what Monero is doing. Let's drop down this previous this trend line here. What's this? Support line. Touched it a couple of times. It's really hovering around that 0.015 sats mark. Curious to see what happens there. Might be an opportunity to sell some and buy some back up. Just have a look at the longer term view of Monero here. Really got a bit of a falling wedge, don't we? So that's usually a bear flag. If the price is coming down like that, does a little consolidation, and then it'll usually continue. Of course, the opposite has happened many times as well, but probably more like that. Let's have a look and see what happens. But I'm generally fairly bearish on that one until next fortnight, even though I hold some. XPM now. Oops. XPM, this has had a huge run up there. Let's delete some of these old lines. Following this neat little channel all the way down, and hopefully it continues to follow this bowl formation to head upwards, but the stock RSI certainly doesn't seem to think so. If you look at that, looks like it's overbought at the moment, so might be on a further decline. So wait and see. Lots of watches going down today. Market's very uncertain, so I apologize for the lack of certainty. XRP, decent. I think I bought some of that. Rock bottom prices. Get in while it's cheap. November, I bought some here. It's gone up a little bit, which is nice. Now, yeah, really, we need to see some more strength, and ideally, we need to get above 8,800 sats. And if we can get above kind of 8,800 sats, we'll look for a nice bull move again. Last but not least is Zcash. Big decline. Big bowl formation possibly. But too early to tell with that one. Really, we're hitting this this low support level several times. We're not really seeing a 1, 2, 3 bottom. We're more seeing you know, a bit of an opportunity for a bend trade again here. I showed you how I did that one back at Sia Coin, if you want to check it out. But basically, you know, watch for the price to come out above that and then come back and touch it before taking off. So that'd be around the 0.022 mark for Zcash. Greater than 0.22 equals a possible bull run. Alright, I'm going to hit save on that crypto journal. Close that off and bid you adieu. Thanks very much for joining in, and if there's any other coins you guys would like me to check out, hit me up in a comment and I'll get to it next week. Yo, peace out, babies.